Most people dream of reaching $1 million in their lifetime, but the reality tells a different story. Only about 12% of American households have actually crossed that threshold, which means nearly 9 out of 10 people will never see 7 figures in their bank account. The question isn't whether this goal is achievable, because clearly it is for some. The real question is why so many people who earn good money, work hard, and have every intention of building wealth still fall short. The answer might be more uncomfortable than anyone wants to admit. The lifestyle inflation trap. There's a silent killer of wealth that operates so smoothly most people don't even notice it happening. When someone gets a raise or a bonus, the immediate reaction is celebration, and rightfully so. Hard work deserves recognition. But here's where things take a turn. That extra money rarely makes it to a savings account or investment portfolio. Instead, it quietly flows into a bigger apartment, a nicer car, more expensive restaurants, or premium subscriptions that somehow become necessities. This phenomenon has a name: lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the primary reasons the $1 million milestone remains out of reach for most people. The pattern is predictable and devastating. Someone earning $50,000 a year lives paycheck to paycheck. They get promoted and now earn $70,000. Logic would suggest they should have an extra $20,000 to save or invest each year. But expenses mysteriously rise to match the new income. The nicer neighborhood costs more. The car payment increases. Dining out becomes more frequent. Designer brands replace generic ones. Before long, that person making $70,000 is still living paycheck to paycheck, just with nicer things. The cycle repeats with every salary increase, and the savings account remains empty. Research shows that people making 6 figures often find themselves in the same financial stress as those earning half that amount. The problem isn't the income level, it's the spending pattern. When expenses rise in perfect lockstep with income, wealth never accumulates. It's like running on a treadmill that speeds up every time you run faster. You're moving, sweating, and exhausting yourself, but you never actually get anywhere. Studies of actual millionaires reveal a completely different approach. The vast majority live on less than they make, regardless of income level. They drive modest cars, avoid unnecessary debt, and resist the urge to upgrade their lifestyle every time their paycheck increases. This isn't about deprivation or misery. It's about understanding that every dollar spent on impressing others or chasing temporary satisfaction is a dollar that can't work toward building lasting wealth. The social pressure to keep up appearances makes this trap even more dangerous. Social media creates an endless highlight reel of luxury, success, and abundance. Everyone seems to be living better, earning more, and enjoying experiences that look expensive. The reality behind those curated images is often mountains of debt and financial stress. But that part never makes it to the feed. People feel compelled to match what they see, to prove they're keeping pace, to avoid feeling left behind. This comparison game is expensive, and it never ends because there's always someone with more to chase. The psychology of avoidance. Money carries emotional weight that most people don't acknowledge. When finances become stressful or overwhelming, a strange thing happens. Instead of confronting the problem, people avoid it entirely. They stop opening bank statements, ignore credit card bills, and refuse to look at their account balances. This avoidance behavior offers temporary psychological relief, but it allows financial problems to compound silently in the background. Interest accumulates, penalties stack up, and opportunities slip away while someone pretends the problem doesn't exist. This avoidance isn't limited to people drowning in debt. Even high earners with good incomes fall into this pattern. They know they should be investing for retirement, but the topic feels overwhelming, so they put it off. They know they should have an emergency fund, but they'll start next month, or next year, or after this big purchase. They know credit card interest is bleeding them dry, but paying the minimum feels easier than facing the full balance. Each act of avoidance makes the eventual reckoning more painful, which creates more incentive to keep avoiding, which makes the problem worse. It's a vicious cycle that can last decades. The psychology of money reveals another barrier: the preference for immediate gratification over future benefits. Humans are wired to value what's in front of them, right now more than what might happen years down the road. A new gadget today feels more real and more valuable than a comfortable retirement 30 years from now. A vacation this summer provides instant joy, while the idea of financial security in old age feels abstract and distant. This bias toward the present causes people to consistently choose short-term pleasure over long-term wealth building, even when they intellectually understand the trade-off. There's also a strange comfort in the status quo, even when it's not working. People stick with bad financial habits because change feels risky or uncomfortable. They keep the same expensive phone plan because switching seems like too much hassle. They maintain subscriptions they never use because canceling requires action. They continue making minimum payments on high-interest debt because creating an aggressive payoff plan would mean confronting how much they actually owe. The familiar, even when it's harmful, feels safer than the unknown. The compound interest blind spot. Perhaps the most devastating barrier to reaching $1 million is simply not understanding how wealth actually builds. Most people have heard of compound interest, but they don't truly grasp its power or give it the time it needs to work. They think building wealth requires either a massive salary or some kind of lucky break. The reality is far more mundane and accessible, but it requires something that feels scarce in modern life: patience and consistency. The math is straightforward but profound. Someone who starts investing in their 30s and consistently puts aside money each month, letting it grow in diversified investments, can absolutely reach millionaire status by retirement. The key isn't earning a fortune or making brilliant stock picks. It's starting early, investing regularly, and leaving the money alone long enough for compound returns to do their work. Time is the secret ingredient that most people squander. Every year someone delays investing is a year of potential growth lost forever. That lost year at the beginning is worth far more than a year added at the end, because of how compounding works. Studies of millionaires reveal that the overwhelming majority built their wealth through consistent investing in retirement accounts and diversified portfolios, not through inheritance, lottery wins, or brilliant entrepreneurial ventures. They put money into employer retirement plans, they invested outside of work, and they left it alone for decades. This approach isn't exciting or glamorous. It doesn't make for inspiring social media content, but it works with remarkable consistency for people willing to stick with it. The problem is that consistent, boring, long-term investing doesn't appeal to the part of the brain that craves excitement and quick wins. People want to believe there's a shortcut, a hot stock tip, a cryptocurrency that will moon, or some investment opportunity they can't pass up. So they chase trends, dabble in individual stocks, or sit on the sidelines waiting for the perfect moment to invest. Meanwhile, those boring index funds and retirement accounts that millionaires actually use are quietly compounding for the people patient enough to stick with them. The $1 million milestone also suffers from a perception problem. People think of $1 million as this massive, unattainable sum that requires exceptional circumstances to reach. But when broken down over a working lifetime, the numbers are surprisingly achievable for people with moderate incomes. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about getting rich slow through decades of consistent, unglamorous financial decisions that compound into something significant. The reasons most people never reach $1 million aren't mysterious or complicated. They inflate their lifestyle to match their income. They avoid confronting uncomfortable financial realities, and they fail to harness the power of long-term compound growth. None of these barriers are permanent or insurmountable, but overcoming them requires something that runs counter to human nature: delaying gratification, making boring consistent choices, and maintaining discipline when everyone around you is spending freely. The path to $1 million is well lit and well traveled. The real question is whether someone is willing to walk it while others are sprinting towards shinier, more immediate, but ultimately less valuable destinations.